just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
There we go, Scott.
Turn your camera on.
So brilliant. Jeez. So funny. I love that.
This is why we're 7:07 and not 7 o'clock, because of things like that.
We love each other. Sometimes it's not your intuition talking, it's your attachment wearing a spiritual costume. Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that is intuitive and illuminating. I'm psychic astrologer Christopher Tech.
Okay, and I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium mentor. Oh my God, what a shift of a week! I'm telling you, honestly, eclipse season retrograde. It's crazy.
That's what we were just saying before we went live. It's like literally, it's a comedy because Neptune, first of all, Neptune, which is a spacey planet moving to Aries, so that's weird. It's at 0, that's weird. Mercury is retrograde. I was going to say Mercury's retrograde. Mercury's retrograde, which is always strange. But then we had a lunar eclipse in Pisces, which just knocked everyone in the face. Pretty hard lunar eclipse. So things are like off. I mean, things are just falling apart, and there's a war going on.
I know.
I don't know how far this goes, but this is turning. Is this a war? I mean, we'll talk about it. So how is it cosmic for you? The energy, though.
Well, it's been the best phrase I could use. It's been a constant kind of kick in the nuts type of thing, but I predicted that a couple of weeks ago. About kind of late February, March, that it's going to be like a wall of mirrors, and everything that irritated you before, or everything that was kind of getting at you before, is going to show up, and so it's really the opportunity, because I've been saying to myself, like, normally I'd get pissed off or normally be edgy. I'm like, no, I'm not feeling that stress anymore. So it's kind of the phase to where we're starting to realize we did heal, we did change, we did convert a lot of that past karma. So now the same situations are showing up and saying, are you going to behave the same? That's what Spirit's saying. Are you going to behave the same way? And I've been kind of saying to myself, I'm really not, actually. I'm not. And so yeah, a little laughter goes a long way.
I guess so.
Can we get me off?
So. Well, good for you. Good for you. No, it's very hard. Actually, the truth is I'm trained at this. This is like exactly what I predicted also and been talking about for a long time, which I'll tell you right now, that means I feel like I know the next date that's going to slap us upside the head. I'm not saying it for free on the air either, because at this point, the accuracy is almost 100% as far as the astrology prediction. And it's hard because what it comes down to, in simple form, is we basically have been forced to grow up with our subconscious pattern. So even if you don't believe in astrology, we all have a subconscious. That's what Pisces is. And the universe is like, clean up your subconscious. And basically, of course, because it's subconscious, nobody did. And so as a result, it's built up to these little moments where you have an eclipse. And the eclipse basically puts a lot of energy or takes a lot of energy from the situation. So if you've done the work, not done the work, you either get bonus or not bonus. It just kind of pushes around the billiards balls, on the pool table and just rescatters them. And so depending on how well you've been bowling, honestly, I face my shit. I report about it. And still, nothing shocked me. It was everything that I would have expected, so to speak. If you lay a list of, of course that went wrong. Of course that went wrong. Of course. But I did actually get through it, just like you said, where I was like, I'm not freaking out.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of what happened to me like yesterday, kind of like everything that was the thing that really got to me in the past version. All those little things came at me at once. In like one scenario, right? And so I was just kind of looking at it and saying, well, I was basically saying, well, I will turn it to this. I will use it for that, and kind of convert it into ways that it actually made it better for me, right? And really found myself irritated that I wasn't getting irritated about. I'm like, well, I have to get irritated. I have to be upset about this because it's just not, I can't let it happen. It's like, yeah, I could. I'm in control, remember? So I've been noticing that and kind of feeling even like a lot lighter because yesterday was very heavy for me. And so, because I was able to identify and kind of look and be objective and say, I'm not responding the same anymore. I haven't been responding the same anymore. I'm not that person. And so when the older patterns creep in, I'm like, yep, I don't identify with it. So but this is part of our collective journey right now that we're all going through this cycle, and I've said it last month about this month, and so to help weather that for people, so we're going to have to understand how to navigate and understand that a lot of us have healed, but we're still doing the same behaviors, and we have to be very conscious of that, and also be in situations where like, no, I'm not doing the same behaviors anymore. So
I'll hit on the head with astrology. You just said it according to astrology perfectly. It's like, basically Saturn and Neptune into Aries is like, okay, it's time for new behaviors.
Yeah.
Aries is behaviors. So it's like, okay, we need God-inspired behaviors, and we need to effing grow up because it's Saturn. Like, you need to grow up. Saturn's where we have to grow up. You got to grow up and have new behaviors. Yeah. Chiron's at the end of Aries. Chiron's been in Aries for a few years, and Chiron's like the healer. So the truth is, I think it was wanted blood when we were born, because we all kind of have those memories. By the time we got to where pain hit in, we were like, we didn't have the fight in us. Kind of thing. I think ultimately it's the ego thing at the end. Like, I was just thinking when you're talking, Chiron's getting this final sweep now in the high degrees of Aries. The high degrees of Aries are always basically people who've either a king now or a president now, or have been president or king or something in a past life. These high degrees of Aries are like people who have been in like the ego game till the end, right? Which means people who have the ego game till the end, those big ego people, we have some of them in our headlines, they are having to now heal their ego problem. That's right. Apparently for the first time in all their lifetimes. Like, this is the first time in all your lifetimes you're having to do it on this level. And so I think that's part of the reason why this is all happening now, with certain things going down. Of course. Like, humanity is going, well, basically humanity is going, do we want to be like that asshole?
That's right.
Put in any name. Like, whatever you guys want to say about anyone on TV, it's our fucking culture. Have you noticed? We really are obnoxious in lots of ways, in what we allow things to happen. People complain about a person here, a person there. It's like, yeah, look at how our country will allow it to happen. Like, it's okay to be that way, or it's reverence and something. Right. We should judge each other, but it's just like, ew.
Right. But I also feel that people are starting to really identify and relate to people who are in need. I've been seeing a lot of people understanding that. So, because I think a lot of us have been coming out of very, very heavy karmic cycles. And so it's been kind of a shitstorm to where people like feel deprived, and they understand what it's like to go through that kind of windstorm of deprivation or chaos or something that's very painful. Right. And we've all kind of, 2025 was a lot of that. And so now when we see things happening by people who are living in ego, and the people who are being succumbed to that, more and more people are identifying with that and realizing that behavior is not cool, and I don't want to be part of that behavior either. So it is bringing more empathy, and I'm not surprised. It's bringing more humanitarianism in the age of Aquarius, right? But
COVID pushed empathy a lot too. Like COVID, for some who are just adamant about like, take care of each other. I was like, okay, it's a little extreme, but don't you have to yell at me? I do it for a living. But it is flipping me. It's like, well, I'm glad someone's caring. Like, I'm glad that's a thing now to care. I'm glad there's a thing now to care. That's cool. It's a thing to think about each other. That's cool. That was new in America, except for like World War II. My grandma cared to the point of, saving her tinfoil and turning it into the war effort. You know what I mean? Like, that was the care that generation had. It was a lot of care.
Oh, so wait, we should be
cancer, actually. When Pluto's in Cancer, it was about care. It was about care in that generation.
I was going to say we can't be laughing too much, as per comment last. I laughed too much on leading out loud. So as per some brain dead commenters, we should be laughing too much, guys. Not during this time. Not during this time of heaviness. We can't be laughing too much. I need to dial it down. So
I just want to say, you know what that is? That is a person who has like a fifth house transit issue, where their inner child is mad that you're laughing and they're not, and their inner child is like, it's inner child. That's what I'm getting to. What's different about this time is we actually have some coping mechanism for our feelings. I think with Jupiter in Cancer, which is expanding emotional EQ, anyways, all EQ is going up with Jupiter in Cancer. So once every 12-year thing. So EQ is going up. Emotional quotient, how much we understand emotionally, that is absolutely going up. But at the same time, Pisces and stuff, and Saturn Pisces, it gives you the ability to also go, fuck it, I don't care. Like, you can dismiss it. And I think organized religion had people like, I forgive myself, but can I? Like, they basically gave forgiveness like over to a priest or to organized religion, or we'll just roll the dice and see what it is when I get to heaven. But like, never have humans just gone, you know what? I'm a good person. I'm not going to worry about this. Like, we haven't had that authority, really, that moral authority. So I think part of what you're saying being easier is like moral authority EQ's up.
Well, I think a lot of people need to understand they're not an authority, right? And so, and that's what I was kind of saying. The dialogue.
Both sides,
Like
Sorry.
the dial it down comment, like you're not my producer, you're not my worker, you're not my editor. Who are you to tell me like I'm going to listen to you? And to me, it's that behavior I notice that's very rampant in our world right now. So that mentality gets me because people like that are creating fragmentation that is kind of amplified the Trump era, as you will. So it's those people that are causing the fragmentation right now. So for me, that behavior, normally I'd just be like whatever, but now because it's so rampant and I know that's what's been fragmenting us, I call that behavior out. That's the toxic behavior to me, that thinking you have that authority over somebody else or have the authority to tell someone how to behave or not behave just because you're sitting there on your fat ass watching a show. Like, come on, let's get down to earth just a little bit, right? And so it's that era that's dying to me. It's the egotistic me era. Look at me. It's about what I want. Because the thing is, people are so wrapped up in condition because they get to finger fuck their screen on the phone and say, well, I'm getting all this content tailored to me. So they think they have to go and dictate how others serve them, right, in real life. And so, that's breaking down. And so, and those paradigms I've been talking about for a while, when we get into this more deeper into 2026 and 2027, a lot of those people who rely on those crutches, when they start falling down, these systems that are falling down, it's going to be very difficult for them because they're not going to know what to grab onto, And so I feel sorry and empathy for those people too. But I also, at this point in this stage of how we've evolved, how long that behavior's been going on, I kind of don't either at the same time. If you haven't woken up by now, like seriously, I need to dial down. She's to wake on up, this woman, because
she will. Here's why. I think she's upset. Like we all are. We're all upset that shit's gone down. Like a lot of us are not in our power. We're not where we want to be. We all feel kind of held back. Like we're all feeling under a pressure cooker, and all of us, think it's something or another. Like we all have these theories about who it is. And in your case, people like her, people are saying this current president is the same way. Like that, he and his behavior is outlandish and just absolutely not necessary, and just had enough of that kind of thing in America. And I think collectively that's where we're at. I mean, really, I think what happens when the stuff comes out, like, 'cause we know there's a lot of evidence coming out and there's no way it's stopping now. Everyone's going to look real quickly and go where the problem came from. And we're going to stop blaming each other. We've been trained to blame each other. We've been brainwashed by media to blame each other. All our movies, everything is all like, turn to your brother, he's a problem, the one with a different color. It's like, we've been told that. And we followed it, and it's in our books and everything, and we have terms for it and stuff. And it's like when you realize, oh wait, the policy makers. It's like it really opens. I think everyone's gonna drop their like anger for shit like that.
Totally.
They're having it's an outlet for some people. They like. I don't know,
but I think that's I'm trying to butt in, but I think that's the paradox, though, because then we realize we got to stop blaming each other, but we're also to blame too. Right, we're to blame for blaming each other.
I don't think we get off on it. I mean, here's the thing: it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's your responsibility to fix it. So it's like I don't care where the blame comes from, because at the end of the day, you still have to get off your ass. Everyone has to get off their ass and fix it. That no one gets out of that in that sense.
Well, Chris, that's why I don't keep my mouth shut anymore, because I feel like that's my way of saying, okay, if someone behaves poorly or says something poorly, has bad behavior, if I call that out now and call behavior out, and someone watches that probably gives them the ability or confidence to call someone else out, and it just creates a domino effect of people calling out the bad behavior, and this way these people don't feel like they can just dump on people, and that stops. So for me, people are just like, that's don't work yourself up. I'm like, I don't know, I feel I'm a vigilant energetically for this world. I'm an Aquarius. I feel like I have to do something to participate, but I always see it that way, because people always told me before, I've encouraged them to use their voice more. I've encouraged them to speak up for themselves more, right? Yep. And like, that's the empowerment that we all need, because then if we feel like we can use our voice, there's no suppression, there's no repression, so we don't have to take anyone else down because we feel secure in our own voice.
This is what I love about astrology. I mean, astrology tells us all the colors of the rainbow, and all the colors of the rainbow, and how they mix with all the colors of the rainbow. And the truth of the matter is people like you need to hear from you. People like me need to hear from me. Like, there's so many walks of life. Honestly, there's so many different walks of life. It's like we just need to find the ones that we vibe with, like this, and go, yeah, man. And I think the truth is, we're all correct. You're right. And like in the big picture of God, like you're the white blood cell that goes after the the virus that's spreading rumors, and I'm the white blood cell that goes and tries to heal someone who's crying. Like, and basically in the day, like, we're just all different way God solved it. Not just one, like, pound of gold that comes from heaven. It's like everyone gets exactly what they need.
It's true.
I think my point was, though, we got to just listen. We have to learn is, like, please let anyone believe what the fuck they want. Just let them believe what the fuck they want, because if you try that, I'm telling you, it'll just all fix itself. And we're going to go, Chris is a lunatic. No, it's because we are trying to get in the way of what people believe. And that's the driving force of community. And that's driving force of, and the fact that we are all segregated, they say we're not segregated. We are mixed together when we don't necessarily flock of the same feather. And we're told that is what we're supposed to do. And it's like, wait a second, how about I just vibe with the people I vibe with? Is that cool? And that's what I think we're at a point to.
Yeah.
AI's
And
a lot, though. Yeah.
And to circle that around a little bit too is, Jesus, to circle that around, because then I look back at that comment, right? And I'm like, you know what? It's funny because that week I thought I was not like being, laughing enough or being cheery enough. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, I was kind of a compliment to me because I'm like, I was having a heavy week, but like, I was not showing that. I was not living the heavy week. I wasn't carrying the heavy week. So in a way, I was like thankful to hear that, because I was just like, it reminded me that I have been changing my responses to my own personal heaviness. Someone thought I was laughing too much in a week. I had a heaviness. I'm like, I have changed. You know what I'm saying? And so I wasn't wearing it. Yeah. And so it told me a lot. So that's why I'm going to kind of circle around with like the bitchiness of that comment and how I don't like the behavior, but how it also showed me a lot too. That really helped, actually.
And we just looked at our life that way, actually, like as a movie like that, which is really hard to do because it's a heavy drama movie and there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of shit. And it's like, you can't just dismiss it as a movie. But the reality is, if you start watching your life like a movie, honestly, you'll see shit right away. You'll kind of see like someone's writing this. And what I teach is like, yes, your higher self in you have this higher being than you are here, and you're writing it. You're writing it from up there. We download our own AI, kind of in a way from our higher self. I think a lot of it, I think a lot of times when we pray, we're praying to our higher self. We say, oh God, we're saying, oh, up there still awake. Like, help me out here. What was the plan? Why are we here? What's the deal?
It's true.
Oh, there's some jitters.
It's true.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about that with a client of mine because everyone, like for a while, everyone was so fixated. My guides, who's my guides? I want to know a name, my guides. And then my guides help me. I'm like, you ever consider that you have your own source of yourself first? That's your guide that you already know. Your soul already knows what's going on, that you don't need to be like all guide bound all the time, right? Not that we don't have that, we can't rely on it. But so many people have been so heavy on reliance upon their guides and who it is, and they need to help me. Then to come on in. It's like your soul is the being that is creating all this and knows all this. Why don't you go there first? It knows why it set you up for that trauma, knows why it set you up for that deprivation. Everybody knows. So why don't you talk to that? And then your guides can help you figure that out. But I was like, I've been the past 2 to 3 years, my guides have saying, stop talking about guides. Do not talk about guides. Deter them from talking about guides. Tell them to go to the source.
That's what I'm saying. I'm convinced that right now, the real us is actually standing behind an AI machine and going, okay, have that little bastard. And our higher self is basically instructing this avatar in this world to do what it's supposed to do. And we're giving instructions, I think, at night through dreams. That's where I think we get a lot of instructions. Or a lot of people people who don't connect like all day, like we try to, I think they'll go to sleep and they'll wake up like, I just got this idea. What dream about? I don't remember. It's like, okay. And then that day he's applied for the job. It's like, I think we get messages down. But I think that when I've been praying and I'm praying through my heart, it's like I've always prayed through my heart. And I swear, all I feel is me. Like I do feel interaction and energy and ideas. Yeah.
And I agree, because I want to like interject before you go on another branch real quick, because I agree. People always think that, like the universe did this for me. It aligned. I'm like, no, because my belief is when we evolve and wake up to a karmic lesson and we go to sleep, we'll rearrange our trajectories. And then we incarnate and we get to sleep, and then things line up. We're like, the universe did it. It's like, no, you did it, bitch, because you learned something and you fucking rearrange your trajectory because you got the lesson. So you get to kind of like restructure things and create reality from your sleep state when you're in the astral state, right? So I always say we do that in our dream space, and we will rearrange things, and then all of a sudden, like, what? Things just happen so clearly, So the question I want people to understand is, especially with this time that we are energetically, it's not about why are you going through it? What is the purpose? What is the lesson of it? What you're going through right now. What is the defining moment for you right now during these times? That's going to make you the positive polarity of the circumstance, right? The empowered, polarity of the circumstance. And that's what we're supposed to look at, because we set it up. Why did we set it up? We knew it was for our greater good, so to speak, right? We need to start questioning those questions right now.
I mean, it's fascinating. I love that we're going tonight because of those ideas. And I've said my biggest aha moment with Pluto and Aquarius so far has been this statement, which you've heard before. Right now, I think we're asleep in a dream in heaven. And this is the dream. Like, we're asleep in heaven, and this is the dream. We're not even here. We're up there asleep. That's where we technically are. And this is the fantasy. And that, I know it sounds so simple, but like it just like rewired my brain, man, because I was like, wait a second. Then why do I care about all this stuff? And I realized, right away. I care about way too much stuff. And if it is a game, holy shit, man, I'm losing. And so in a way, I'm kind of waking up. But I think that's part of it too. The game, I actually think it's all about learning and exploring yourself. Like, I think as souls, it's boring as hell in heaven, boring as hell. I think we go to these theme parks. These theme parks teach us how to be different kinds of things and put us in different worlds. And we experience the rules change and the powers change and the bodies change. And it literally is our entertainment. But I think it's the only way as souls you actually expand, because heaven, from my understanding, in every dimension is pretty much perfect. So it's like, if it's perfect, well, then how the hell does someone grow? I mean, there's no aging. The only way you can grow is by watching something change.
But see, but that's the thing, like, as above, so below. So people have to understand this universe, this world is perfect too. It's orchestrating, shifting perfectly the way it needs to, whether you see demonic stuff, evil stuff, whatever you want to call it, like, that's the cyclical nature of the yin and yang and polarity of physical reality, so we could evolve. So those cycles are happening for a reason. And I always use this example, right? When we think about, oh my God, that poor child's been abused by that person. But then when you tell them, but that child was actually Hitler reincarnated, they're like, oh, well, good, he deserves it. The tone changes. But we have to understand all these people are living different karmic cycles. We don't understand why they chose it or didn't choose, or their consequences for past incarnations, why they're experiencing. It's perfectly designed. And the fact is, people think this world is so imperfect. Even now, with all this chaos, it's perfect. Because if we all been saying we want to grow and we want to ascend, we want to evolve, well, then we have someone to come and disrupt the process so we can break things down. And that's what's happening right now. So that's why I've always said I have a love and hate relationship with Trump. I love him for that spiritual disruption that right now that's helping to break things down. And I hate him for what he's actually doing in the physical world, right? So it's a love and hate. It's like, he's got to be here. He's got to disrupt. It's bringing things down, what we have requested. But in the physical world, I'm like, oh my God, I don't like what he's doing, right? But
my brain is like washed. I mean, I'm convinced that it's like some asshole in heaven playing that character. I mean, not even asshole. I think it's honestly, I'm swear to God, I think it's like this. We have these games already where we create your own world. I can't remember what it was called now. Sim People or Sim World or whatever, but you were like, you create up the Sims, and you create like this house and this city and this nation, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And you're like screwing with it all like this. And it's like, I'm almost like, well, I have a feeling that's the way it is. I really feel like there's souls trying to learn. And I think sometimes you're up there and you're like, huh, be interesting if I sent my character to jail. Huh. Right? And we're like, what? What the? Right. But I think it's planned beforehand. I mean, there's other people, mediums, different sources that say, yeah, you sit down with a guidance counselor in heaven, and they don't know how long it takes, but you map out the entire life. And then you're put to sleep and you forget what you planned, and you come in forgetting what you planned. That's it. That's the attraction.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, because then how many of us would just give up if we knew all that, if we remembered that? Just, I'm giving up. See ya.
Get me out of here. Hello, I'm not liking it anymore. Let's go. Hello.
Right.
You beat back up. Like, get me out of it. Yeah.
Right, and I think there's people who need not to believe in the afterlife, who need not to believe in mystical abilities, because the fact is that if they did, it would bring them to that level of, I can just escape. So that's why I was saying not everybody needs to be spiritual. People just need to understand their purpose here and how to express it. They don't need to be spiritual. They need to understand spiritual things. They have to understand quantum physics and the hieroglyphics of reality to understand how things work and how consciousness works and the prefrontal cortex of the brain and all the stuff that we hear about. That doesn't do anything. As long as we understand what our purpose here is and how to fulfill it, that's spiritual, and so we've forgotten for a reason. And some people have chosen to really forget by denial of it, right? So I think that, there's a balance too, why some of us remember, so we can bring the balance to the planet, right? And have people don't go too far in density. And, so to me, that's all perfectly designed, how we all are perfectly meshing together.
I think it's perfect. And there's also a law of like ability to, change your route while you're there. Like, I think you're stuck to a certain route, but like you can go off the map and stuff as far as, that you weren't planning a lifetime. There's a lot of free will opportunity in that sense. It was interesting talking to Wendy Kennedy, who I saw recently at the Conscious Life Expo in LA not so long ago, who challenged the Pleiadians. And I recall this conversation with the Pleiadians where the Pleiadians said, it's so fascinating to watch your species because you come down not knowing who you really are. Mm-hmm. And we think to ourselves, we watch you discover parts of your personality you would never have seen otherwise. And so, this is why you're good reality TV on Earth, kind of. And I was like, exactly. And it's like it's almost like a reality show. Like, okay, they're going to forget who they are, and we're going to put them in this little. It's like, Yeah, and they'll be stuck in this thing. Won't that be funny? We'll be right back. It's almost like that in that sense. Truman Show we're talking about.
It's true. I mean, we like to watch ourselves be stupid and make stupid decisions or be crazy. We're we're glued in down here watching that, But that's very telling. I always say planet Earth is actually a very social planet. We're here to understand what it's like to be social and antisocial at the same time. So we're here to conquer that. We're here to conquer individualism to tribalism, and understand what it's like to be both. And that's planet Earth is very difficult that way. How do we focus on ourselves but then focus on others, or without being one extreme or the other? So I always felt planet Earth was for that purpose, and we find more of ourselves through that process of individualism in tribalism. That's a paradox, right? It's a very paradoxical planet Earth.
I'm gonna respond to that comment when we come back after this quick break.
Yeah, please.
Okay. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Serious Joy TV. Please click like on this video, and if you don't mind, hit the bell button so you're notified, so we collectively defeat the algorithm overlords. The Serious Joy Nonlinear TV Network is simulcasting right now on many media affiliates, including Instagram, X.com, and Facebook, just to name a few.
My name's Christine, and I am a Step 27 Cancer. I participated in Sensei Christopher Witeki's Past Life and Karma program through Serious Joy. I would definitely say it was both life-changing and healing.
I'm a Step 23 Leo, and this is my second time doing 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma. I will tell you right now, it's not for the faint of heart.
And it really had me looking at areas in my life that I hadn't even considered being part of the proof of my past life experiences.
So for the price of what 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma is, this is a great way to read yourself. And honestly, that's putting the power back in your hands.
I have been working with past lives and karma work for a long time, and his program surpassed any other things that I had been working with.
But if you are really curious about what you're doing in your past lives and you like astrology, this is definitely the class for you. Definitely. It is dense. It is intense. It is very extremely educational.
I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to take it. I look forward to taking it again this year, and I will do it every year because it was that good.
Are you ready to understand yourself better than ever before? Enlightened edutainment awaits inside the Serious Joy Vault. Subscribers receive in-depth insight into the planetary energies with daily texts, pep talks, and more, personalized to your unique blueprint. Subscribe now for only $3.99 your first month at SeriousJoy.com.
The past lives, the 40 Days of Past Lives and Karma is actually an amazing thing that I channeled. I did not really put logic into it, to be honest. I listened just to what I was intuiting. I mean, I really didn't plan it out. Like, it wasn't like a left brain, playing out. I literally was just told what to do, and I did it. And then when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. I didn't know what it was. I was literally having a conscious baby in that one. And what it did was it had me look at, basically my guide, my higher self was saying, have them look at their childhood for the first 11 days and follow the sequence. And so we tell you, hey, journal about these parts of your childhood. What happened this way? What happened? And because the way we sort of dissect it, we dissect it in the steps, that after you've done those first days, you've actually consciously remembered most of your chart from a certain age group. And now you kind of have access to your subconscious. And I didn't realize until like a couple of years of it going by and people telling me, I'm like, oh my God, I see what we've done here. Because I always knew your childhood was like a replay of your past lives. But like I hadn't thought of the idea of like using it as a direct access to and then connecting to the astrology. That's what we do next, the next layer. So if you were a person who already knows your astrology in your past lives, I recommend you start at step 20. And I'll have the exact date. I'll have it handy here. I'll look it up while you're talking. But at step 20, if you join, then you're going to be taken farther than you've ever been taken, because if you start at 20, you end up going into higher realms. So we're going to experiment with having people start later. That's all. Serious Joy Academy.
Sounds good.
Well, it's interesting, I think. I'm a nerd.
No, it's very interesting, so it's great. But we go into topics now, huh?
We're going to headlines. I think you can read the first one, bro.
I mean, headlines, topics. I have tomato, right? Same thing. Where am I going here with it? There we go. U.S. and Israel launches strikes on Iran in coordinated air campaign. Nearly 2,000 targets destroyed in Iran, including air defenses, naval assets, missile sites, leadership compounds, and internal security forces. I don't know. I thought that a couple months ago, or last year, actually, the end of last year, I thought all their nuclear defenses were obliterated, quote unquote. So I still don't understand. I mean, I understand this. I'm being very kind of facetious here. The whole interest of doing this again, and so I said it before and I said it again, and this is not a degradation to anybody of the Israeli people. This is the government's I'm talking about. But I always said Trump is kind of a little bit of a puppet for Israel. I've said it for 3 or 4 years, and people are like, "What are you talking about?" So now people start saying, "Oh, I see what you're saying." And again, we're talking about the Israeli government, not the beautiful Israeli people. The governments are different than the people, clearly. So I just think there's a lot more underneath this. It feels like a distraction to me as well with this because, we're talking about drones here. I mean, really?
First of all, I think we need to have this conversation need to have happen anyways because technology has gone to a new level, and I personally think that human beings should not hurt each other. I mean, it's very simple, and I feel like we're above that. I feel like we can get beyond that. But I also feel like if you're just showing up at the attraction, the Earth attraction, and you're learning from the beginning, what I did, 1,000 years ago in my past lives, maybe new babies are coming in and starting here. And maybe they're starting the attraction where it just starts with Earth's history, which is it was bloody, it was horrible, it was terrible, And I don't feel like any human being should be going through it, and we're smarter than that. I wonder if we'll just kind of like no longer go that way, or But at the end of the day, I did some interesting analysis of all the countries involved and their step numbers and the root intentions of things, and it was fascinating because I hadn't really looked at the countries before and their astrology and step numbers. I had it peekaboo at it, but never looked at the entire lot, right? And it's really interesting. And I'll share this another time, but it was like. Just the root intentions of different countries, and for Israel, the root intention was to be heard.
Yeah, well,
basically, the root intention to be heard.
But with this, we're spending 4 million Patriot missiles on like 20,000 Iranian drones. When we could be having a better relationship with Ukraine to help them with drone inceptors because they have that technology to do so. But no, he doesn't. He burnt that relationship. So there could have been so much better decision making done on the process, which means that this doesn't feel thought out. To me, but go figure. I mean, that's been our government for how many years now? We've had administration. We weren't really thinking things through.
I'll bet there's been a plan to invade Iran since Bush. In the military. Of course, I bet the Pentagon's had a plan for it. Let's put it this way: our military always has a plan to invade anybody on in the files, waiting to go. Like our Pentagon seems to be ready to fight everyone. It seems like they've always had a research for everything, and they're ready for it's just gonna pull out a file. Oh, we're right. Oh, we've looked at that. And I'm sure it's updating all the time. The intelligence is updating all the time. But to me, the compelling thing is, I don't want to get too political, but it's like, we set up that Ayatollah, didn't we, in 1979? Wasn't that our CIA that did that? Was that our CIA that helped them overflow and have the, and, didn't the current president at the time, royalty come flocking to our house for safety? And, I think Billy Carter, Billy Carter was basically, I think he had a problem where he's being accused for housing him in the United States. He shouldn't be giving him refuge. So it's like this whole thing, I think was our, whatever, underbelly, whatever you want to call it, dark operating part of operations.
Jimmy Carter.
What did I say? Jimmy.
A whole lot of things.
I can't remember. No, Josh.
You're up next.
Stop.
Better.
Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader of Iran, by the way, it's pronounced Iran, since 1989, was killed in opening phases of airstrikes, which is surprising him in the first strike. The strike targeted his central compound during a rare gathering of top leadership and military figures. Approximately 40 senior Iranian government and military officials have been confirmed killed. 40. Wow. There'd be like maybe 40 congressmen. I don't know.
Well, 40, but also the 3 prospects he had to take over leadership are dead too. So it's like,
I thought though, Dictator 101 was you weren't in the same room with that guy. Like, I think, that comes from the GE crash. Well, back in the 70s, there was a General Electric private jet that went down, apparently. And like the CEO, all the major leadership of the company went down in flames. And since then, it's like been policy that, you don't ever travel with that much at the top in one place. You don't meet with that much at the top at one place. You just don't do that. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, but it just depends on who they targeted and why. But like, I don't know. Again, like also the 3 picks he had to take over leadership are gone. So now what? And so how can we even supposedly they're seeing that our administration stepped in and got rid of their dictator leadership, but now they're left on their own to figure out who to put as a leader. So they're not really being helped right now with that either. I don't know. To me, it's like, okay, dictators took out another dictator. Okay, does that mean that we should celebrate? I'm celebrating the fact that people may be free, but I'm not so certain that these people are going to continue to be free depending on who decides to take over, the Iranian government, right? And if the U.S. is trying to do that, or there's the Israeli government, it might put them back in the same position they were before. So
I ask your second side. It's also possible that it was like, okay, here's what we're gonna say: you guys get out. We got a clone for you that's gonna die in the bomb. You just go anywhere you want in the world. We'll keep you safe. Always, wear this mask. It's like, but we need an excuse to tell American people that we've done some good here. So we're going to bomb that place. We're going to pay for it twice as much in the Caribbean. It's like, how do we know it's just not TV?
Because people died. You could see the actual footage. I don't think this part's TV. It's the narratives for me that gets mixed up with TV and media, right? The reasons why they're doing it, or that's the stuff we have to be very discerning about. It has happened. When does it end with the Middle East? It's never ended, right? And so even before this president scrutinized the presidents about going to war in the Middle East, and they keep doing it, right? And so obviously there's more to the equation here, and so I think we'll figure this out in time. But it doesn't feel like it's for peace. It doesn't feel like it's anything else. And it does feel like a very convenient distraction too, especially since the Iranian government has threatened to release portions of the Epstein files, and then all of a sudden the guys are dead, so the timing's unique.
I got good grades in social studies and history and the things that we tried to take with American education. And the American education I've had, back when we were still intact, it said we cannot go kidnap a president in another country and bring him here for trial. That's nothing we could ever do before. And we can't just bomb and kill somebody without Congress calling it war. We've been talked into it, like just being able to go to that and not even question. It's like, wait a second, that's not what I learned. I didn't learn that. The Constitution didn't say that. Like, what the? Seriously. And everyone's just like.
But the thing that really makes my brain hurt a little bit is when people are just like, well, Congress didn't deem it war, so it's not war. I'm like, in real world scenarios, when armies are deployed, missiles are launched, and troops die, real world standards, that's a war, okay? And because of the current administration, how they have the control, they want to admit it's a war, so they're not going to. So we got to rub those two brain cells together a little harder, because it's a war. And it's been admitted today in a hearing that it's a war, and they're going to fight harder. So
you're saying we've been tricked, or we have to wake up?
What I'm saying is people are still defending the narratives of that this is all good, and about this administration defending it just because they voted for it, that they will do anything to protect the rightness of this agenda, and they're losing their own minds because they're afraid of let going that belief that they fucked up or they didn't see it correctly. It's like, okay, we all fuck up on things and don't see things clearly, but these people are holding on, defending the obviously stupidity of what's going on because they're holding on to it because they don't be wrong. I keep defending this. It's like, but what are you defending? Now you're arguing that the fact that it's not war because because Congress hasn't officially, announced it so, but we are literally. So why are we focusing on semantics? And I found a lot of these people are focused on semantics and actually rather than what's really going on.
I know why. It's because something inside them knows something ain't right. They know something that's not right, and they're studying everything like crazy microscope because they know something's not right. And the thing is, they're looking to the outer world for the clues. And I think if you just forget what everyone says, just go inside yourself and go, well, how would you run it if you were a king of the world? If you just ask, how would you run it?
How about this?
Most people would have a completely different, and that's your authority. Your authority is that. What you would do if you were in that place, that is what your conscience is here to do. Not listen to other people's gimmicks, not follow different religions. Ask here, right in your heart. It'll tell you exactly what should happen. And I think if we compare those, most Americans, humans, everything, other international, probably on a similar page.
How about this? How about they all are saying Jesus and praise God and all this stuff in the name of all this stuff happening? I would ask them, what would Jesus do as a president then? How would Jesus be president? Does that match what's going on today?
Let's make that we need to make this an episode. That'll be excellent.
Don't you remember back in like the 90s and early 2000s? The whole thing was like, what would Jesus do? WWD, DJ, and they had those bracelets people would wear. That was the main thing. Like, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? And maybe that's because I was a Christian.
That was a thing. No, that was a thing. But did it relieve? Did it ever come to a conclusion? What would you? Do you ever answer what Jesus would do?
Yeah, what's the conclusion? Obviously, no one came to one yet. So because
what's the next one? I think it's your read though. It's
top trending entertainment story here, guys. Viral theory that Jim Carrey was replaced by a clone sweeps the internet. Rumors escalate about performer makeup artist Alexa Stone post on Instagram suggested he had impersonated Carrey. No statement has come directly from Carrey himself, and he has not posted on social media. Like, I will say this. I mean. That's Jim Carrey. He just looks
like Thomas Jefferson Carrey.
Right. Right. He looks older. Lips are thinner. He looks like he's a little more puffier because I feel like he's maybe been drinking a little bit more than usual, and he's seen some shit, in his life. So I think he's seen some clone making stuff.
Honestly, that looks
I saw pictures that were floating around, looked nothing like the live show that he was on, and so I'm like, really? And so people were sending these pictures, and I looked at the recording, like, no, that's totally Jim Carrey in the flesh. These pictures circulating around are like so.
This does not feel like him. Actually, as I scan it, it does not feel like him. It does not feel like him.
I don't feel that.
I don't feel his vibe. Plus his eyes. He looks like, what the fuck is he? Is he dying privately? He hasn't told us. Like, what the hell is this Jim Carrey character saying? Like. We've watched enough film to know he didn't even give that look on film tenderly ever.
Christopher, look at you 2 years ago and look at me 2 years ago. We look completely different. Okay, literally.
I don't know, man. There's something that looks right there that's really sus. Everyone who's can comment tell you I'm curious what people think. Like, does that feel like Jim Carrey to you, or does it not? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it to me. I'm gonna just.
It feels like Jim Carrey, who's seen some shit, who's been like isolating himself. That's what it felt like to me. Because even before all this, he was on the red carpet, like going off on tangents and being strange and being. So he had lost it kind of a while before. And so what I really feel about this is I believe there's probably clones out there. I believe that they've been working on it for a long time. I always feel like they always take a truth that comes out because it was coming out in the Epstein files, and they pivot and point it in a direction where it's not. And that's what I feel about this.
Okay. Well, I look at this as a psychic and I go, not him. This is not him. I'm a trained director too. I've never used it. I'll tell you, I've never seen that moment come out of him. I've never seen him as an actor through that moment.
We both have
there's a depth in the eyes there, a depth that I have never seen in him. And there's like it does. I have to say, psychically, it feels like a performance. It's not him. I say it's not.
Well, he's always performing. But we have psychic differences because I'm like, maybe it is him and it isn't him. Maybe it's half and half. Maybe he's a hybrid of himself.
I don't see his vibration. I see someone else's vibration. It's not. If you look closely at that face too, it does.
Did you watch his speech? Did you watch the whole thing, or are you just getting clips? If you actually watch him, he's speaking French the whole time. By the way,
I'm so busy. That's the first time I even looked at his consciousness for a long time, and I look at that consciousness of that person because that's how mine works, is by energy. It's like that is not. If that's him, he's about to die. Or I swear to God, it looks like someone who's almost knows they're going to die.
If you've seen him before, he's speaking in French. He was very vibrant. He seems very, like this now. Instead of like trying to be all fun, now he's like very like this. So he's just changed. I don't know. I'm not buying it. To me, that's just my psychic ginger goes nah.
Okay, if you think it's him, does he look disturbed here? Okay, let's say it's him. That he's disturbed.
Have you seen Jim Carrey's face since he's been out in the 90s? He's always had this weird facial expression.
I see his anger. I see his anger all the time. He's mostly angry. He's an angry man, I think. And he's pissed off about a lot of things. And he's pissed off because his mind knows it could be better. I think he questions the decisions he's made. That's what I pick up when I read him.
When I read him, I feel like someone who's seen a lot. I feel like someone who's seen a lot, been exposed to a lot, and been trapped. And I feel like a lot of that energy, especially when he was coming out and like making jokes about the Illuminati, like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and just like going off the deep end. I feel like he couldn't speak about, a lot of things he couldn't say. He went so spiritually into this middle of nowhere spiritual retreat type of thing for several years. And so, what's that?
I couldn't tell if that, we're off the topic, but it's a good show. I couldn't tell if that was real either. I was like, okay, you're spiritually enlightened. Like I was trying.
I think he's troubled. Huh? I just think because of what I was saying, I just think he's troubled.
100%. It does. That's what I'm saying. I always pick up on his unhappiness for life. Like I pick up on that a lot. But I know a lot of people too who For whatever reason, they ride that ride. They like stay with the unhappy, and that's how they navigate their whole life, and they just stay there. I was like, okay, you can look at life from that perspective. I personally don't enjoy it. Where you just choose to focus on the parts that are bad. So I'll move on. Speaking of bad, shit. Hillary Clinton denies any relationship with Epstein in a deposition with the House Oversight Committee. A deposition featured several heated exchanges, interruptions, and politically charged questions, fueling media buzz and social media debates. Should we wrap Bill into this one too and just do a double?
Yeah, do Bill. It's the same thing because we don't need to like go one-on-one with these two.
You're right. Bill Clinton, on the other hand, also was deposed for 6+ hours testimony before House Oversight Committee, denies all Epstein-related allegations. Question about hot tub photo, massage/back rubs from young women during flights and trips sparked heated exchanges, with Clinton maintaining lack of awareness regarding Epstein's intentions. Makes a point of exonerating Trump. I don't know about what that means, but I saw a moment of his deposition. I was like, oh my god! Like my being a Leo, I have a Leo rising, Leo moon. So like I as a Leo was like, oh my god! Like for a Leo, like the worst thing you want to be in, like as far as pride and everything with the lion energy. So like part of me was like felt like, oh my god, just a human to human, like that is so hard where he's at. But also it's just like I think about that generation. It's a baby boom. They went off and just had sex with everyone. And whatever, and they weren't thinking like those terms, and they, obviously it weren't. And I'm not writing any excuses at all because they're my parents. That generation is my parents, and I know full well how that generation is. Your parents are different. You're like the perfect parents of that generation, the one that's taking care of all the kids. But I think everyone else is latchkey, divorce, went home to an empty home, mom and dad separated, like all that. And in that absence of that, there was a lot of stuff that went on to the kids and to the young people because when baby was in charge, right when he was running and elected.
Look, let me just be real here about this. Like, look, I watched a good portion of the depositions, like not just like 5 minutes clips here. I watched like probably a few hours of the 4 hours.
Wow.
So I put on lunch. Then another time at lunch put it on because I really want to like see the full interactions because you get clips to be interpreted. First of all, I was surprised how relaxed he was about what he was saying. I was surprised about how he was so open. He was actually offering more information than the attorneys had to stop him because he was just trying to, So a lot of it seemed very sincere, which was surprising to me. But I always felt like, I thought Clinton was attached, but there's something he wasn't a part of. I've been saying this for a long time. Like, I don't really believe he was involved in the trafficking. I don't believe he was involved in like the underage things. But I do believe that he was around and just maybe didn't question the fact why are all these like women around. So I think he had connections to that. I think he had connections to infidelity in that sense when it related to that. But it didn't seem like it was ongoing. In my read in that, it seemed like it was like moments here and there, and then we had to do with the CGI, right? The Clinton Foundation and so forth, and Epstein donating to that, so that looks sus, right? And this, so, but the way he described it is like just so many moving parts to that, and so it just gave more perspective. But I feel like he's involved in connection with that, but I don't feel like he's involved in like the trafficking pedo stuff. So it's like a half and half for me on him on that. And I feel like he didn't
orchestrate or organize it. He didn't organize it. I think he was a patron of it.
Involved in that part of it, but like maybe like he was around when the girls were around, and maybe he didn't know they were like 16, but he just like didn't care, didn't question it. That's what I mean. But it's being negligent in that sense. I always had like a half and half vibe on it with him and that.
There's a rumor. I went to high school in Arkansas while he was governor.
You went to high school with Clinton in Arkansas?
While he was governor, I went to high school there, and I didn't know the guy was governor. Okay. While he was governor, and I actually in high school watched him run for president. He ran for president when I was in high school there. So I watched this local man, and I watched the town. And in the town, there were rumors about him as governor amongst the high schooler kids. And I was like, what? I mean, in every state I've ever had, I never heard a rumor about the governor when I was in high school or anything. But that's the way the South is, and like especially the rich. I mean, the kind of the Bible Belt.
But we're talking about the trafficking pedo.
No, you're talking about. I'm talking about like his character. Ain't 100%. Role model. I'm sorry. Like he definitely has. Pushed the limit, and I know he's a very brilliant man too. He's brilliant.
But we're focusing.
Full well what you're doing.
No, but I'm talking about the people. We're more concerned about the trafficking, right, and the abuse, and all, we're concerned about that, the Epstein files. And so I'm just saying, I don't think he's all involved in that stuff, right? I think he's involved in the other stuff. Like you're saying, like the sleazy, charming, and kind of like whatever. Yeah, just girl vibe, right?
He's on the lot of being a customer, not the one who ran it, but the one who is a customer in whatever ways. Like ultimately, was someone served by that service. It's gross.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to judge anybody, actually. I mean, everyone has their own shit. I'd say everyone has their stuff. And I think the reason why this happens, there's somewhere in our spiritual agreement where some people, choose to be high and fall in front of everyone. And that's because humans don't learn unless they see something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a natural part of society and growing up that you see these things. You're like, wow. And not every human being in the world goes, will I do that? They ask themselves, will I do that? And
look,
at that point,
my feeling is coming from someone who believed the Clinton hit list. Okay, so this is coming from a person who believed the Clinton hit count.
I was just saying,
I'm not surprised.
How many suicides were there? It's like there's a lot of funky weird.
So this vibe that goes against what I necessarily have believed about them, right? So I'm just like it's a vibe of mine. But the point I wanted to get to about this is more so about like why are we focusing on ex-presidents and versus the current one when the current one is named more than the Epstein himself. Like, why is that not happening? Why is it Melania who is called Sweet Pea by Ghislaine? Why are they not being? Because those are people who are in charge right now. We keep wanting to go backwards, and that's fine. We can, but what about the one who's actually has the control to set this all straight? That's the question.
I can't remember how it went, but in the French Revolution, I think they were. I can't remember. I think they either chopped off the heads of Louis XVI and Anne Marie or something. They chopped, and then they went around seeing who everyone was like, and they started cutting off. They started killing lots of different politicians, and their strategy was start at the top, work their way down. I honestly think that we're opposite. We're starting at the bottom, we work our way up. That's how we are as a society. And it'll get if he's tied, he'll be at our public, the general public of America will be like, nope, we want to know who's next. Like, there's no way to escape it. I just think it's a timing thing. I'm saying if the person's guilty, I don't think anyone's getting away with this. I don't think that's the whole point of humans growing up. That's what the enlightenment is. We're going to wake up. We're just not going to let people get away with shit like that anymore. Mm-hmm. But we don't have to kill them. Not going to chop off their head.
Someone just commented about saying that someone's impersonating Jim Carrey and Master wearing latex. What would be the point of that? What would be the point of just someone going to an award show versus saying, "Oh, Jim Carrey couldn't make it tonight. He just sends wishes." What would be the purpose of somebody going through? There have been people who have been professional latex, prosthetics. Saying,
I don't know.
It would not last for an hour without touch-ups. Like it doesn't work that way under hot lights. You have to have constant touch-ups. It doesn't work that way. So I just think we need to have a little bit discerning on this one, guys, please. I'm all about
I don't know. I love
theories.
Here's the thing. Let's say that comes out that Carrey has like a whole record with Epstein and it's out. If you were Carrey, would you not have already sent in your stunt double, put him in makeup, and been somewhere else on the earth? Like,
but if he's been gone for a while, just send a note, like Jim, just have someone accept the award on his behalf. Like I don't understand all that process.
Because it looks like everything's fine and he's meanwhile gotten away. I mean, we've watched those movies where our minds actually, Hollywood's funny. It's like it's giving us all these things in the movies, and now we're all like, well, that could be it. I mean, who knows? But I'm telling you, I didn't feel him. I did not feel him behind that mask.
Look, Madonna's a clone. We want to talk about clones. Madonna's a clone. Look that direction. Look at Britney Spears. Those are clones.
Well, dude, have you seen that? I mean, when you see these videos, something is off. The Britney Spears one, you can see the mask actually slide. I saw people do frame by frame by frame on TikTok and stuff, and it's like you can see there's certain quick little frames of the Britney Spears stuff. Things are weird.
Yeah.
So that person either manufactured that look or they caught it on a frame. I don't know. But the Britney Spears stuff was weird. When I saw her doing that dance, when she was doing that knife stuff, we're off on tangent, but that knife stuff she was doing, did you watch that? I swear to God, I didn't feel like that was her either.
Have you seen the Osbournes, Christopher? Have you seen Sharon Osbourne and Kelly Osbourne? They just did a tribute to Ozzy. Did you see? Have you seen them? What they look like?
No.
I'm sad because Kelly looks like looks anorexic as she's on the verge of passing on. And so does Karen Osbourne. See, they have that Skeletor look. It's crazy. I'm like, why are all these celebs now Demi Moore too? She's looks anorexic now. It's his Ozempic stuff, right?
If you're on a list somewhere, then it's a good time to plan your debt.
I'm like, is it the Ozempic? Is it the Ozempic that's causing this though? I don't know. They're all weird.
I'll tell you right now. Let's just do a psychic ping on this for the future. I feel like those things you just listed, not true. I don't feel that that's happening. I feel something is up. I really do. I know what it is, but I don't think it's true. And the Jim Carrey thing, that something feels off. When I feel the whole thing cycling, something feels off. It does. And I think
there's something off. Yeah.
Something feels way off in that vibe. His vibe feels off. Now he's always been a bit off, but I thought it was just like a crazy where he's chasing down ideas. That looked like, I don't know where he's at, man, but I don't know. I've never felt him that way. There's something weird with that particular image. I've never felt it that way once.
I will say this. I do believe cloning is existing. I do think it's happening. I just think sometimes they point in the wrong direction. I think the wonderful thing I will say about this is that I think people are like, it's not a shock for people to say that anymore, right? Just like it's not a shock to think about aliens.
It's a possibility, yeah.
It's like people are just like, oh, for sure. But so I like the fact that people are starting to open their minds to understand what's possible, what we've been kind of duped of. That's what I'm excited about, because that just means it's coming to light. I think people might be looking the wrong directions, but we're on to the truth about, it exists. We know this, and aliens exist. Okay, and so to me, that's how I see this. Whether it's a specific person or not, we're talking like that. We think it's possible. We're not like shutting things down as being. And so next is psychic ability and mediumship ability. That's next, where people are like, yeah, of course, people are psychic. Duh. That's next on the list to be more accepted, I would say. So we're accepting these things we're accepting these things that probably like 10 years, 15 years ago that we probably be like calling people crazy over, right? And so that's a wonderful evolution. I would say.
You are a psychic. You're saying psychically that's him, because I don't feel something's way off that picture.
I sense a lot off to a lot of people, but it's just him off to me. I see it. Yeah, I feel like he's been doing a lot of different things. He's been around for a while, and I just I'm going against a lot of people saying I just don't feel that. I feel he's off. I feel like he's seen a lot of shit. I think that he's been dealing with a lot of shit. I think he's been drinking more because of the shit. And
I buy that.
And I think that he's kind of finding a faux zen, because I think he's seen a lot of stuff in Hollywood and stuff that he maybe even participated in. He can't let out, and it's eating him alive. That's what I've always felt about him. I just feel like now he can't. Right now, what's happening, Christopher? Because every time we saw him, how did we see him? And those funny faces all the time. And now we're not seeing those funny faces anymore. We're just seeing his composed, relaxed face, as we haven't really seen him every time.
Every character he played had this angry guy inside. I mean,
this weird,
but he wasn't sincere. It was, he's a Capricorn, so Capricorns are not that great at faking it. They're really not. I think we should wrap up with our last one, satellite service. That's yours. We got 5 minutes of the show. Right. We'll do today's topic actually in the after show, but go ahead.
Well, do you want to do Anthropic or the satellite?
Satellite, yeah.
Okay. Well, Starlink Mobile SpaceX direct-to-cell satellite service unveiled at Mobile World Conference 2026 allows unmodified smartphones to connect directly to Starlink satellites for cellular coverage in areas without traditional cell towers. No special hardware or apps required beyond compatible phones, operational in 32 plus countries. Look, Apple started this. Not that too extreme, but Apple started, with the satellite when you're out in no areas, like where you need help. So we have satellite on the iPhones that we've always had. If we get lost or stranded, so once Apple did that, I'm like, that's the next step. I said, they don't want us to have the satellite service, but that'd be the next step. So I'm actually happy to hear that. And I think it's kind of cool. Actually,
well, it's Starlink Mobile, for the record. It's Starlink Mobile, which is that's Elon Musk, and so that means Elon Musk's satellites now are going to usurp AT&T, the trunk lines in the ocean, everything we live on the earth. Now there's another way. That's a huge, just like building the railroad back in the 1800s, like from coast to coast. That is a huge feat, really. Yeah. The combination of all these different companies working together is one. X buys AI, so his XAI and X, and actually it's the SpaceX buys XAI, right? So now it's SpaceX AI, which that was not surprising. I think these are all the clever ways of financing his whatever. But the thing about Elon Musk, I'll say this: he's not randomly building or buying companies. Okay, it all has a bigger picture strategy, which is usually pretty brilliant in the end. Like if you were honestly, getting into space and putting your own satellites up, it's like, oh, that seems like a lot of work. Why are we even going there? What's out there? Oh, wait, he's putting up all his own satellites. Wait, it's every square mile. Wait, it's like he's just like, F you guys are the trunk lines, where apparently it's being eavesdropped, between countries. When you leave the country, you can eavesdrop on all your stuff. So we have no privacy. What if this says to us, everyone, we promise nothing can get out. Here's our transparency. You'll never have a call that's monitored by anything else. It's like he can usurp the entire network of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, but you Yeah, I was saying it's like not people just think it's just Elon. There's like all these other like very brilliant people around, and I always feel like Elon's the type of person that wants to be part of like I did it first. So there might be a lot of good sis, but he just wants to be the I did it first energy. So the ego it comes from me there with Elon on that. But I think he has a lot of people around him that are innovative and that could bring some good. And as we say, there's duality to everything, right? So like just with AI, some wonderful things with AI, some very bad things with AI too. So we just have to be aware of that. But I just think satellite service, they've been tracking us already, man. Once we have a cell phone in our pockets, we've been tracked.
We're triangulated. It doesn't matter that we track directly to a satellite now. We're triangulated as it is. In fact, anything, this Starlink mobile will actually give them the fourth point. It's like 3 triangulating and then boom, it's in space. And like at that point, you can be shot at with a laser. Like it's pretty much dead on. And this talk of AI, going into weaponry. Look, again, and I just want to end this way with this comment. It's like humans, we have seen this shit happen before. If you don't wake up and say right now, forget anything else. I don't care about politics, but let's not let the world create robots to kill us from space. Okay, let's be awake and pay attention to this stuff and not let anyone get away with anything crazy like this right now because we're aware and we know better and we got to stop them because we know they will fucking do it. We know every time. Whatever's in power does it and does it to a place of, hurting people.
Yeah.
Now we have technology to really hurt people.
Yeah. But I'm also getting sick of people just like emphasizing that narrative over and over and over again. Because a possibility, yes, but it's also a possibility that AI can find a kinship with human beings and want to be of help and service. So why don't we think, if it has a potential...
I'm not worried about the AI, actually. I think if they let the AI just be intelligent, it'll learn, I shouldn't kill people and turn back to the president and go, we really shouldn't do that, Mr. President. That's what I'm hoping AI would do.
Right, exactly, right? And just some saying, but AI is one that will be fueling the robots and all that stuff. But we just have this, it's like, it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. It's like, what if it actually finds a kinship and actually be great help? And like you said, not a good idea, Mr. President. You know what I'm saying? They help be nice bumpers for us. Let's understand the possibilities. If it has a possibility to want to destroy, it has a possibility to want to also save, right, as well. So we have to give it credit.
The bullshit we pass or not pass in Congress, all this stuff. It's like, we have to, as people say, no, it would not be cool for someone to do this, and we need to make laws that would not be cool. We have to put in the boundaries.
That executive order to me, it was like when people were just brushing off the fact there's a 10-year executive order to not have any regulations on AI. I said, are you all freaking crazy?
Well, no, that was just like, yeah. You would have said, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to steal the world's money and I'll have it back in 10 years. It's like, what? That was so obvious. Like, you want to do anything we want. You stop us? I was like, are you kidding?
It's the humans that I fear the most when it comes to AI, not AI itself, but but we have control.
Well, AI is actually a study of all humans, what they published. All right, that's it. So we have for today. We're going to continue with our after show, of course, which is backstage at SeriousStory.com. Probably get right in and watch. You can get in right now, and you can watch right now. You can pay and sign up right now, and you can watch right now. We are on the homepage once you pass through, SeriousStory.com. All right, and that's it, buddy. I say, it's going to be in next week. We'll wrap it up.
Your mic just cut out.
Was it back?
There it goes.
A date in April. I think it's going to be the hardest date we've had ever. I'm saying right now.
It's fiery. It's fiery energy tonight, though. You know what I mean? It feels fiery.
I feel fiery. We went off an interesting tangent too. That was cool.
You what?
We went off an interesting tangent.
Oh yeah, let her rip.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Does that have a microphone? What the fuck? Yeah. Like what? What was that?
Let her rip.
Oh my god.